There's basically 4 types of erectile dysfunction, and when you're dealing with this problem, you need to figure out which one you are in order to treat it properly. So that's what we're going to talk about today, and I'd love to hear which kind you are. Just leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. If you get something out of today's video, hit the like button. It does help with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to the channel. Over 90% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed, which means you might be missing out on valuable information that can help you with this problem. So hit that button down below and let's get started. The first type of erectile dysfunction we're going to talk about today is the one that is most commonly worried about by men, but it's actually the least common that shows up, and that is a physical issue. So if you have a physical issue, you're talking about things like too low testosterone, or you're talking about some sort of injury or birth defect. And these, although they're things that guys always stumble upon when they're searching for what's going on with them, they actually are not that common. And there's another thing that a lot of guys lump into this, which is venous leak, which I have another video, which I'll link right here, which talks about venous leaks, but I actually do not lump this in with physical problems. So if you have a physical issue, oftentimes your options are going to be something like pills or something like surgery. And there aren't great options out there if you run into a physical issue. Sorry guys, I wish I had a better answer for you. But when you run into those types of problems, there's not a lot you can do. But what I will say is if you are concerned that you have a physical issue and you have been to doctors, unless they specifically found something that is physical and there's nothing with, it makes sense to look at this from the perspective that it might be one of the other 3 types that we're going to talk about. The second type is porn-induced erectile dysfunction, and this is by far the most common. So if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction and you watch porn regularly, this is the place to look at, because almost certainly this is playing at least a big part in what's happening for you, and for many of you it's going to be the whole thing. So if you're dealing with that, it means you had your dopamine and your brain has sort of been messed with. You've sort of trained your brain to be turned on by an image on a screen instead of actively being with someone. And you've also trained your imagination around sex to sort of calm down and stop participating. So there's a lot of different materials out there on how to deal with porn-induced erectile dysfunction. I've got some links down below on how you can get some help on that as well. And there's also a video right here that I'll link. The basics are, if you're struggling with this, you need to get off porn for at least 90 days. That means at least 30 days with no orgasms, and then within 30 to 90 day period, you can have sex, but you should not masturbate. You shouldn't use porn for any of it. That's really a good place to start. The third type often starts with porn-induced erectile dysfunction, but after you've hit that longer streak, like 30, 60, 90 days, you're not seeing any type of results and you're still struggling with erections. Oftentimes what's happening here is performance anxiety. And something that trips guys up with this is they may say something like, well, I don't even get hard any time of the day. So that means no morning woods, nothing like this. How could that be performance anxiety? And you have to understand that for most guys who have anxiety, or most people who have anxiety, there is just a low level of that anxiety that sort of hangs out all the time. So you could be eating dinner with your family, you could be talking to a friend on the phone, you could be taking a shower, and there's just sort of a background low level of anxiety. And that low level of anxiety just physiologically is supposed to prevent you from getting an erection. This is what's preparing you if you have to do battle with a tiger or run away, or any of the things that your body's fight or flight response is built for. And those are designed to keep you from having an erection. So if you're dealing with this type of anxiety, the best way to work through this is if you have sex with somebody that you have an emotional connection with, so you feel a lot safer. Anxiety at its core is a feeling of unsafe. It's saying something like, I don't feel secure. And so the easiest way to feel secure in a sexual situation is to be with somebody that isn't just having sex with you for the sex. If you're trying to have sex with someone just because of the sex, and that's going to add a lot of extra pressure. So what we want is somebody who cares about you and can kind of nurture you through this. A lot of times this problem can be worked through really quickly once you get past the porn-induced erectile dysfunction portion of it. Stage 4 is completely different than the other one. So Stage 1 is sort of also on its own, but stage 2 and 3 are your really mild cases, which are really just a porn addiction, and then your medium cases, which may have a little bit of anxiety built into them. Once you get into stage 4, what you're really looking at is we're talking about things like sexual trauma. We're talking about things like having used sex in the past to really hurt someone. Sometimes religious, really harmful religious shame. That would sort of be in a stage 4 thing. So stage 4 is really when you're dragging in something, some past thing into the bedroom, and it has to be dealt with. And so when you're getting into stage 4, what you really need to be looking at is professional help. If you have unresolved issues from your past, you can work through them. I'm not saying that you can't. It's probably possible, but it's very unlikely. I was a very extreme case of stage 4, and I spent years trying to work through stuff on my own. And I can tell you that the amount of progress that I made was minuscule compared to when I actually started opening up to people. So who can you go to work on this type of stuff with? Well, you have the really obvious choices like psychiatrists and therapists. They're really good at working with this stuff. If you're dealing with trauma, I highly recommend things like EMDR and somatic experiencing. Those are very helpful. But then you start getting into other sort of less common types. So nearly all of my clients are they're later stage 4 or later stage 3 or early stage 4 to extreme stage 4. So I work generally with people who are in stages 3 and 4. But there's other types of people that can help as well. I got a lot of help from shamans. I got a lot of help from people who teach things like meditation and Qigong. But there really isn't a good way to deal with stage 4 on your own. And the sooner that you're willing to come to that conclusion and sort of seek help, the faster you're going to get the results you're looking for. But I also want to be realistic. When you're in stage 4, you should just count on, you're going to have to put some effort into this, and it's going to take time. When stage 4 is involved, what you really need is a type of healing. And that comes from dealing with painful things that have happened in the past that sort of overwhelmed your system at the time. And those things have to be dealt with. If you got something out of today's video, hit the like button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And over 90% of my video views come from people who aren't subscribed. So there's a lot of great material on this channel. And if you have ED or performance anxiety, this is a great place to start to learn about what's going on and try and take some steps to correct that. And if you are a stage 3 or a stage 4 and you're looking for some help, my website's down below. You can schedule a strategy session with me, and I'd love to help you take a look at what's going on. All right, I'll see you next week.